welcome to the Blackstar ID series webinar with myself, Paul, and I've also got with me Dan and Cliff. The purpose of this is to really give you guys a bit more in-depth information about ID series. I know some of you will have already seen it at various shows and maybe even been lucky enough to have a sample unit. So we want to cover off today some of the real key features that differentiate ID from other people's products. It's also recorded for your watching pleasure. So if you've got any guys that can't make it today, then you can always dial in and view the recording afterwards. It is live, so anything could happen, probably will. And I know some of you already texting in with questions and that, so we will, if we keep looking to one side, we're looking at the big screen with all your questions coming in, and we'll do our best to address those as we go through. Nice little bit of, there's a lot of love going on in the texting by the look of it, which is cool.
People having great conversations. Hi guys.
Yeah, it's not one of those chat rooms, so please keep it clean.
Tops on.
So, as I say, with me I've got Cliff and Dan. They're two key guys who've been working on the ID series project. I don't know if you guys want to just say a little bit about what you do in terms of development.
Sure. Hi everybody, I'm Dan Wright. As Paul said, I'm one of the R&D engineers on the digital side. Thanks for that, by the way. I do have a pretty mouth.
That's what we keep saying.
Yeah, the anonymous names work very well in this situation.
923878.
You know who you are.
Thanks, Drew.
It must be Drew.
It is Drew.
Yeah, I'm Dan Wright. I'm a software engineer, so I've been responsible primarily for our Blackstar Insider software that you'll see later on, and general development on the digital team. Cliff?
Hi folks, I'm Cliff Brown. I'm Chief Engineer here at Blackstar, and I've been involved in ID right from the beginning, really. My primary role has been guiding the team and most of the hardware design, along with Bruce Keir, who you know very well. So we're in the latter stages now, and we're just finalising a few things, and I'm trying to get everything ready for you guys.
Okay, cool. So in terms of the concept behind the range, as many of you will know, when Blackstar launched 5 years ago, it was always our intention to have a full catalogue of products. So everything from a high end right down to a practice amp. And we started at the high end to start building the brand. And over the last few years, we've gradually been introducing more products in more affordable price points. So the next step in that plan really is ID series. So this sits underneath, in terms of price point, any of our other products. So it's important when you're thinking about these is not to think of them as you would perhaps other people's programmable offerings. This is a different kind of beast. This is a great new Blackstar amp that's a lot more affordable. So as part of the development in the early stages, we did a lot of market research with the target audience, so primarily young guitarists, less experienced guitarists, a lot of focus groups. And some of the key findings that came out of that were that people wanted to be individual, they wanted to be able to craft their own sound, and also they wanted it to be loud. You know, some things have never changed in the history of rock and roll. Young lads still want to upset their parents and be a general nuisance. So those were two key things as we started to develop the front panel interface and the sound of this product, that it had to address both of those things. It's really important for you to remember that, as Cliff said, Cliff was one of the guys behind great valve amps like HT5, HT Venue series. He was lead engineer on all of those. Bruce, again, you know, he was responsible for Series 1, Artisan, and this really has been, for Bruce particularly, almost the culmination of his life's work. So even while we were developing Series 1 and Artisan, before the company was launched even, in the evenings, Bruce would be going home, working on this product, developing it in parallel in his own time. So he's always believed that there was no reason that a non-valve amp couldn't sound and feel and respond just like a valve amp. And really, ID series is addressing that directly. I think when you actually get one in your own hands and hear it, you'll be terribly impressed by just how impressive it is. So again, it's really important when you're taking this out not to confuse it with other products that are out there. So this isn't a Fender Mustang. This isn't a Line 6 Spider. You know, this is Blackstar ID, and it's an affordable Blackstar that really opens up the market to a whole load of people that haven't been able to afford Blackstar previously. It's packed full of innovation. You know, with all our products, it's been a key part to always have innovations. So one of the cornerstones of the Black Star sound has been ISF, and you'll find that on these new products. There's also a new patented feature, which is TVP, or True Valve Power. And we'll go into a bit more depth in a moment on that, but that really is fundamental to what separates ID out from the crowd. So what that does is when it's engaged, it reproduces the response, feel, sag, compression that you get with a valve amp, and crucially, the same acoustic power. So when you turn this on and you're in a band and you're in a live situation, when the rest of the band kicks in, your guitar sound doesn't disappear. This cuts through just like a valve amp. And so the way we've approached the front panel and the way the controls work is really like an extension of the sound in your head concept that we introduced with ISF. So by mixing and matching preamps and power valve settings, there are 6 different power valve responses within TVP. You can really, using those and ISF, you're combining them in endless combinations to actually create your own sound. So we're not modeling, we're not copying, we're not doing what other people have done historically. This is a great sounding Black Star that you're then able to create your own sound. And hopefully, that's one of the big taglines for ID is individuality is power. So, we're really tying into that. And something that we found when the test units have been going out, it's got people really excited. And even for inexperienced players who don't perhaps know what a KT88 is, they know what they like. So it's very simple to use. People start messing around with it and they very quickly start finding sounds that they like. So to try and explain, there's obviously this is as a product range, there's a lot of technology in there. And we've tried to come up with a simple way of explaining it to people, and all of the units will come with a point of sale on the top, like this. If my good mate Dan could hold for me. So there are 5 steps basically to getting your sound. So step 1 is choose your voice. So you've got 6 different voice options there. You won't find any terms like plexi or blackface here. These are all great sounding typical Black Star channel descriptions: warm clean, bright clean, super crunch, OD1, etc. Select that. Step 2, select your EQ, and as I said earlier, that includes ISF, so you're able to completely voice your EQ network from either a UK or a US response. Next, TVP. That's where things really start getting exciting. With that, 6 different power valve responses from EL84 right up to KT88. You've got built-in effects as well. You can have 3 effects at a time: modulation, delay, and reverb. And then obviously, most importantly, is the rock out, which Cliff will be demonstrating for you in a moment. So, as I say, these will be top mounted on every product. So hopefully in a store, it will be very simple for people, even as they don't know anything about it, when they walk up to it, to start messing around. There's also a list of all the presets included on there as well. So Cliff, if you'd like to give the lovely people an example of how you'd set some sounds and how that works.
Here we have the ID100 head, and I'm going to go through the steps that Paul described a second ago. I'm going to select my voice. So here I'm going to go for a super crunch, and then I've got some EQ set in my typical Black Star settings. So I've got a bit of bass. I can 2 o'clock. I've got the mid at around 11. I've got the treble at 12, and I'm going to put the ISF towards the British end of things here. And I think I'll select an EL34 on the valve, on the TVP there, and let's see what that does. There we go. That's let's move my guitar there. That's our Black Star Super Crunch with EL34. So you could compare that to something like a Series 1, I guess. Let's look at a clean. I can just simply rotate the voice control to, say, let's go to clean bright, and got a nice clean sound there. If I want to try that with a different TVP setting, let's go to EL84. Now you can't feel what I'm feeling here, but there's more compression there, and you can probably hear the little bit more edge there on that one. the way we've designed the TVP section is that we can actually push the power stage harder by increasing both the gain and the volume controls here. But using the master volume, we still keep the overall volume down, so we can actually have preamp and power amp distortion. So that's getting kind of bit like our Artisan thing there. So we've got a clean bright, and we've got an EL84 output stage. Great, loads of compression on that one. Or we could go to the other extreme, and I'll pick a KT88 there, which is the kind of the Series 1 200 output stage. So you can hear that gets much bolder, bit more in your face really, and a bit more bottom end. That's kind of that typical KT88 sound. Okay, let's go to a lead tone. So we'll go over to OD2 there, which is kind of a bit like the HT Stage 60 channel 3 with the voice switch in, which gives you kind of a mid boost, great for solos. And I've got that combined still with a KT88. Let's go for a 6L6 there. So we've got that tone. I'm going to move the ISF around now and give you something a bit different there. Maybe cut the mids a bit, and let's see what we get. Okay, so what else can we try? Let's go for just a crunch sound, a bit less gain, and we've got a 6v6. Now there's an interesting combination, but this is the beauty of this, I think, is that you can go for a high gain metal tone with a boutique amp, low wattage power stage, or you can go for a nice kind of breaking up preamp and then couple it into a 200 watt KT88 power stage. Gives you lots of options, obviously 6x6 combinations there, plus the ISF, plus the EQ settings and the gain controls, and the bit we haven't come to yet, which is the effects. And you can program it all, so you can store all those combinations of settings into a patch and recall it instantly, which is a very powerful tool for the guitarist. I hope to be gigging it this weekend, actually. Yeah, really looking forward to it. So here, what we got? We've got a crunch and a 6v6 output stage. So I'm going to flip to a single coil there for that. Bit more volume. Bit more gain, maybe. Move the ISF a bit more around the other way. So that's it. So that's the preamp, that's the voice, the EQ, the TVP. I'm going to dial in some effects now. So let's put in a delay. Just hit the delay button there. That will switch on the delay part of the effects section. I have a choice of 4 types of delay there. And within each of those 4 types, I can, if you can get this on the camera there, Grant, I can vary within each segment. I get a variation of that effect. So if I can... So basically there on the delays, you move through the segment and you get more feedback. If I want to change the delay time, I can tap it in there. There's a bit more feedback, which will give us that. And then a bit more level, maybe. Delay, can take that out and put in some modulation. Let's see what we got there. tremolo. Again, I can vary the speed or the rate of the tremolo by tapping. And if I had another hand free, I don't want to reach over, I could hold in the tap button and rotate the level control, and that would allow me to fine tune the rate or the tap time, the delay time. So let's have a listen to the modulation effects. We've got a tremolo. Chorus now. It's a very faithful representation of a nice little light blue box that we like as our chorus effects. Okay, I've moved over to a flanger now, so you can hear a bit of flanging there. Let's put a bit more gain on. And we've got this one. So we've got a phaser there, and again that's a very faithful representation of a nice little orange box that we had lying around here. All the effects have the same interface. To have more than one effect on at the same time, you just add them in, and you'll notice there that two of the buttons are red and one's green. The green one shows the one that's active on the control set that we have here. So with all three on, I can select any of the effects, and that will be the one that becomes accessible through the two controls here. So just to go over the controls again, we've got a type control, which gives you 4 basic types of any of the given effects, and then a level control that just the amount of effects. So if it's a reverb or a delay, it's the level of the delay or the reverb signal. If it's a modulation effect, it's generally the depth of that effect. So a nice simple interface there, along with the tap control for delay and modulation. Gives you a lot of flexibility. You can, as I said earlier, you can store whatever that combination of effects you've got with each patch. Nice and simple. And great sounding effects. I mean, the processing that we've got in this amplifier is just, we've got horsepowers of DSP, you know, and we got some fantastic reverbs, delays, and modulation effects in there. So I'm sure you're going to be impressed with all those, on top of the great amp sounds that we've got. Okay, I'll just move over to the far end there. We have 3 controls here: resonance, presence, and master volume. Those 3 controls are not stored in the programmable section of the amplifier. Master volume, obviously, you want to be able to store your patches and then have your amp set at any volume that's appropriate for where you're playing without having to restore and reprogram. The reason we put the resonance and presence outside of the programmability was to allow you to tailor the sound of your amp to a given venue or a given environment without having to reprogram the amplifier. So you've got a kind of a low end and a high end and high mid EQ there that you can adjust depending on whether the acoustics of the venue give you a bright or a dark sound or whatever. So a nice useful feature there for the gigging musician. So that's it. That's basically the front panel. That gives you a good, hopefully a good introduction to how to get on with it and how to use it. And I believe some of you will be receiving your amps, if you haven't done already, then fairly soon. So yes. Okay, cool. Over to you, Paul.
Thanks, Cliff.
Thank you.
One of the things hopefully you've noticed when you've hopefully been out to see the front panel there is that another thing that came out of the market research, thankfully, is that young players, they don't want products that look like a spaceship or a PlayStation or a toy. They want something that looks like a real amp. So again, in parallel to doing all the good work on the sound of the amp, we've also spent a lot of time getting the look right. So hopefully you'll agree when you walk up to these, they look just like a normal Black Star amp. They look like a cool amp that anyone would be happy standing next to. What we've done, all the non-standard controls are in a color bar at the bottom of the front panel there, which again, you'll be able to see when you watch back. All the programmability is all in a separate bar to keep it nice and separate. And we've also got a manual mode on there as well. So when you enter manual mode, what you see is what you get. So as soon as you enter manual, that's just a normal amp that any player can use, whether they're a real traditional player or someone who's a little bit more adventurous. So again, a great feature if you want to quickly demo it to someone, knock it into manual, and immediately you can just dial in sounds as you would on any product. Again, as you were looking at the front panel, hopefully you noticed there's a little silver sticker around the TVP button. Again, this will be fitted as standard. It's a peel-off sticker, and it's fitted to all product as standard. And again, we've put a lot of development and cost into TVP, and so it's really important when people walk in, they're kind of drawn to that. So there's a silver foil sticker on the front panel around the button that turns it on and off. Now, having just told you how marvelous it is, you're perhaps thinking, yeah, well, why would you ever want to turn it off? Well, the reason you want to turn it off is to hear how good ours sounds, because when TVP is off, the response is how it would be from everybody else's non-valve amp. So what you hear is, well, if Blackstar did a Spider type product, well, that's kind of what it would sound like. But when you engage TVP, that's when the amp really comes alive, and that's the benefit that people are buying. So again, really important that people get to see what they're paying for there. Brief overview of the range, just to recap, I'm sure most of you are familiar with it anyway. There's a 60 watt 1x12 combo, a 2x60, 2x12 stereo combo, a 60 watt head and a 100 watt head, which will be shipping first. And then there are two smaller units, a 15 watt and a 30 watt. The only difference in front panel is the 15 and the 30 don't have the mid control. However, via the GUI, the graphical user interface, you can get access to a mid control, so for programmability, but that just kept the size and the cost down on those two other units. So, segging seamlessly into the Insider software, which is our GUI, our graphic user interface. It's a really cool feature. There's a very discreet USB socket on the front panel. You just plug your laptop or PC into that, and all sorts of exciting things open up to you. Don't they, Dan?
They do indeed. So, I didn't even see a seam in that, so that was great.
I know, I'm seamless.
Seamless. So I'll tell you a little bit about the Blackstar Insider software, and we're just going to pan across to a rather large TV we've got in the room, which is actually displaying. This is connected to a laptop I've just got down by my side here. So hopefully what you can see is this window, Blackstar Insider. This is our control, edit software for all of the ID series amps. So big to small, doesn't matter, they will all use this interface in exactly the same way. Primarily, it gives you access to do everything you could do on the amplifier front panel itself, plus a lot more. So Paul already mentioned on the amps which don't have a middle control, for example, you still get the middle control on this front panel section here, which allows you to control it in real time, make adjustments to this control, and the amp will react instantly. And it also gives you the access to being able to store those sounds within the smaller ones, again, even though you haven't got it on the front panel. So primarily control and editing of all of the wonderful features on the ID series range. So quick overview of what you can see. This is just the screen that you'll see when you start up the software. So you have an amplifier section at the top, which gives you a roundabout front panel, which is common to all of the ID series amps. So you can select your voice, your EQ, even your effects and your TVP setting from there. Underneath it, we have an expanded version of our effects section that you saw on the front panel. So obviously we are limited for space on a front panel and hardware. It's very compact, but hopefully very easy to use. I'm sure you'll have just seen. But we can give the guitarist a traditional effects chain look within the software for controlling modulation, delay, and reverb effects, as you can see there. The keen-eyed viewer will notice that it is the correct signal path order, i.e. we're going in on the right-hand side all the way through to the left. So you have modulation first, delay, and reverb, which is just a small note that we felt we had to do for prosperity. So along with controlling the amp, you also get the flexibility of being able to organize any patches that you create either from the software itself or by storing them from the front panel. Blackstar Insider lets you organize all of your sounds and create your list of up to 128 patches that you want to store in the amplifier at any one time. So you'll see the library section at the bottom here. Once you have your amplifier connected via USB like we do here, you'll notice the little USB graphic on the top section of the amplifier there shows you that it's connected. And you have this split library section at the bottom. As a quick run through, you have the amplifier contents on the left, so that's a nice big list of 128 different sounds. And on the right, you have all of the sounds that are currently stored on your PC or Mac. Anytime you create a sound from the software or you import anything that you've saved from your amplifier into your PC, we'll give you a big list of all the patches, effectively infinite number of patches depending on the size of your hard drive that you've ever created, and you then use this library section to decide and synchronize up to 128 within the memory. And once you've done that, you can disconnect the amp, take it away, go to a gig. You don't need to be connected to Insider to access them, and they get stored in your amp forevermore until you change your patches. So that's really cool. You can also do the same sort of thing with effects as well. If you really use just the one chorus sound, you can store that as its own effect patch and load that as well. There's lots and lots to do with Insider, and most of it is going to be really playing with it for yourself, because we just haven't got enough time to go through everything you can do, really. So hopefully everyone will be getting versions of Insider very, very soon. But for now, I'll give you the quickest run through I can. So other than just controlling the amplifier and organizing your sounds, we've also included a practice feature within Insider. So for the young guitarist or otherwise, perhaps, you can choose to load in any MP3s or WMA audio files into Insider software. You'll notice this lovely cassette player, rather retro, but we like it. And you simply, from your PC or laptop hard drive, just hit the import button on this audio player, and you can just import any audio tracks, which get set into a nice stack of cassettes here. And if you want to jam along or practice sections of any of these tracks, you do so. Just load in a track by selecting it from the list. You can then choose to play, pause, stop. You can slow track down. You can loop sections, speed up, increase, decrease the volume. And there's also a metronome there for practice. So it's a really good tool on its own, just to unlock a bit more of your amp. But that, again, really does warrant playing with all the great things you can do, because for the practices among us, for example, slowing down the speed of the track doesn't actually alter the pitch like you would usually get with any time-altering software. So you can actually practice any track or part of a track at full pitch, but actually at half or even double speed if you really fancy a challenge. So there's lots of features in there that you might want to play with, all available to you right inside Blackstar Insider. Last couple of quick things. We mentioned, obviously, the amp has a lot more features than you can get to than just you can on your front panel. So this really does unlock everything. You have a sort of a global settings section of the amplifier, which you can open up and select here, which gives you access to, certainly on the bigger ones, things like MIDI channels, the audio modes, because this is not just a performing tool or a practice tool, it's actually a recording tool as well, this amplifier series, because you can even do recording via USB or via a line out on the back, and you can actually do what's called reamping. So you can capture clean audio tracks from this amplifier, and you can send clean audio tracks to it and actually reamp your sound. If you find you didn't quite like the voice you recorded it around first time, you can re-EQ it, add some different effects to it, loads and loads of different things, all of which is going to be in all of the user manuals and all of the online tutorials that we are providing. So, as I said, get your hands on it as soon as we can. There's an online community where users can share all of their patches and sounds, and Blackstar will have a presence on that. Again, massive amount of content on there. Difficult to get into here, but as soon as we can get versions out to you, we certainly will do, which we are hoping to do very, very quickly.
A rough idea, Dan, of when a beta test might be able to
We
go
do.
out to
We are targeting the middle of next week to get Insider out available to you as a beta, which will contain brand new firmware for the amplifiers, and it will obviously give you the first version of Blackstar Insider to play with and use and show all of your lucky customers.
Excellent. Okay, we just had a question in from an anonymous user. Said you got your samples. Can you download Insider now? As Dan said, next week we'll have a beta version for you to download and start playing with.
Yep, targeted middle of next week for that.
Excellent. There's also a question just come up about the effects, and Cliff, if you want to just reply to that one.
Yeah, Dan mentioned reamping, so I guess you could you kind of effectively do that by reamping, though you would still run through the preamp. So you can't actually gain access to the effects loop by itself, but as a reamping tool, putting a clean signal in that you may have recorded in the past, yeah, you can do that.
So where do the effects sit in the signal chain?
The effects are actually after the power stage. So you apply delay, reverb or chorus or other modulation effects to the whole thing. So imagine you've got your, a really nice sounding little combo that you've got cranked. You're recording it in the studio, but it doesn't have an effects loop or any kind of thing. But what you do is you mic it up, you put it through, you record it, you put it through the desk, you apply all those real high-end delays and reverbs. Well, that's what we've got in here. So there's no effects loop as such, but we've put inside the unit a vast array of effects. And what's that question there? Is TV digital or analog?
Yeah. Also, can you change the order of effects?
At this stage, you can't.
No, we don't. As Cliff was touching on there, we've obviously put the effects in a very specific position to get the best out of them, i.e., like you would in a live studio situation. So moving the effects around wouldn't actually gain you any audible advantages, really. But at this stage, no, we can't. If we, in the future, given obviously this is a digital product and we can upgrade it and change it as we see fit in the future, if we choose to change or upgrade or redefine the effects, that's entirely possible for us from the future if that's a really big ask from everybody.
I mean, the important thing about this is that we can upgrade the firmware, or the user can upgrade the firmware very easily. So there are things that we haven't done yet that are possible, and some of those things may be in response to customer feedback and requests from yourselves. Some people might want to put the delay in the front of the preamp or something. That may be possible. It's work for us, it's time. The feature set we're launching the amp with is superb, but only the future tells, really, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. One quick question now I've just seen. Does the ID series also feature the emulated output as found on the HT5? Absolutely. Yep, stereo emulated output as well. All of our effects, as we said, they're studio quality. All of our effects are in stereo as well. So if you plug in a set of headphones or a line out, you will get stereo effects as well. Yeah.
So as we've touched on, you can record and emulate it out two ways. You can either take a jack plug out the back, as with the HT5, run that in traditional analog way, or really simply, if you're running Cubase or some other audio software, you just plug a USB in and it will show up as an audio input and you can just record it straight in.
And that is the same stereo emulated signal as you would get out of the standard emulated output jack on the back.
Yeah. Yes, you can name patches, absolutely. You can be as creative or not as you like with your patch names.
You can actually also assign genres and descriptions. And as part of the online community, you can upload them so other people can download them, and the description is obviously important for that. And people can also rate how good the patches are online. There's a very big system on the online community, which hopefully we can touch on at some other time.
Yeah, and we're also getting artists to do patches as well, which will be available for free download on the Insider community. Software, can it run on the Mac?
Yes. Absolutely. We are going to be releasing the same software for PC and Mac. It doesn't matter, you will get the same software.
Excellent. We just mentioned briefly there about firmware updates and that. Cliff, do you want to just say a little bit about anyone who's had one of the pre-production samples?
Yeah, for you guys that have had pre-production units from us, we will be releasing a version of Insider that you can get by downloading it. You'll get some details on that next week, and then following on from that, there will be subsequent releases of firmware, as we finalise the feature set and just finish and tweak a few things that we're still working on. You'll get that periodically. We'll give you some notice. We'll tell you what the changes are. And then you know what to expect. You'll be able to plan around that. I mean, that's the main thing. Yeah, as I say, there'll be instructions on exactly how to do this. Just to let you know, the pre-production units will not quite the same as the final ones in terms of the way you will have to program them. But it's a simple difference. The way it's done will be explained to you in an email or something like that.
Excellent. Just rounding out then, just in terms of support materials, as I mentioned, when the products ship, they'll have the top mounted point of sale. They'll also have the silver foil sticker around TVP. In the box, there's a quick setup guide. So a really dead simple single sheet, which takes you through, this is how you plug it in, this is how you get your sound. And then the full handbook in depth is downloadable as a PDF off the website. In the next few days, we'll also be sending out to you a pack of additional materials. So there'll be a white paper, which goes in much more technical detail, not for public release, but so that you guys and any reviewers or people like that can get fully up to speed with some of the clever stuff that happens under the hood on this product. We'll also be sending you out banner artworks, posters, adverts. We've already started working on a lot of video. There's been some video clips done already, and there'll be more released on an ongoing basis.
Some questions.
Questions coming in, fantastic.
TVP, digital or analog?
Yeah.
Everything you hear is digital.
It may not sound it, and that's the plan. And just generally, we tend to, although we're not hiding from the words like modeling or digital, because that's what digital is the technology used, but we're really emphasizing the fact that don't think of it like that. This is just a great sound in Black Star amp. In fact, when we've taken pre-prods round to different shows, we plug it in, people are trying it. The last thing they ask is, are there valves in this? They really don't know, and it's so important because once people get a preconception of what the product is, then that will affect how they approach it. A great example on, we released a teaser video, Jamie Humphries playing through one of these products in silhouette, and everyone was going crazy about it, saying how amazing it was, it sounded brilliant, can't wait to get it. When we did the big announcement for Frankfurt and said, look, this is what the product is, suddenly everyone was like, oh, well, I never really liked it, it's not very good, as soon as they heard that there weren't valves in it. So, it's
before anybody hearing it as well.
Yeah, when it's exactly the same product that they were hearing. So it's an important one to think about how you approach it. Get people to plug in first, because that's the sell. Once they've heard it and played it, then they'll like it.
There's a question now. Go for it. What is the switching between patches like? Instantaneous, absolutely instant. Does the ID allow for choosing patches on the fly without any abrupt dropouts and so on? Yes, absolutely. It's instantaneous. There are a few ways to change patches. You can do it either via Insider software by just double-clicking within your library, and it will change the patch instantly. You can use the channel buttons on the front. You can see here you've got 3 banks of 4 patches on the front, giving you access to the first 12 patches. We have MIDI controller that you can access all 128 patches, and we also are offering a programmable foot controller, which is a 4-button foot switch which has lots and lots of modes on it, one of which is standard patch changing. Another one is navigation through lots of patches and banks, and the other one, there's a third mode, is a pedalboard mode, which is my favorite, which means that you can actually stomp on and off the modulations, delays and reverb and tap in the tempo for either the modulation or the delay as well. So you can access patches in lots and lots of ways, and in a live situation, obviously MIDI or foot controller, instantaneously.
So Dan says you can use well, we can't fix everything, unfortunately. Drummers are beyond us. Apparently one of the best drummers, no, I won't go there. Call me back later for that one. So yeah, we are supplying, it's the FS10 multi-function foot controller. That's on your order forms. So if you haven't got on order already, get some on order. It's a really cool, very simple design that enables you to access absolutely everything on them. To make them even more accessible, as Dan said, they've got a MIDI socket on. Anybody's MIDI foot controller will work. the amps will also accept control change information to change various parameters. So as well as changing patches, you could alter speed of tremolo or various other cool things like that. So we've only kind of touched really today on the top level stuff about when someone walks into a store maybe, or when you take it in and pitch it to a dealer. These are the kind of the big news stories. There's so much more you can do with this product. It keeps on giving. The more you play with it, the more things you can find you do with it. So as I keep saying it, that the pleasure is in actually playing it, and when you get one in your hands, that's when you'll start to get even more excited than Cliff's made you.
Believe it.
And there's a tuner, yes, there
is a tuner.
Absolutely. That's you can use it on the front panel, and also it shows up in the GUI. So if you want a cool 3D rendered, lovely display when you're tuning your guitar, it also does that.
It's also on the foot controller. There's a note indication and how sharp or flat you are as well.
Okay, are there any more questions? This is your big opportunity.
We've said that. Software will work on Macs. It's the same software on PC and Mac. Just seeing if there's any more questions we haven't answered.
Regarding...
Can you use the emulated output without the speaker plugged in?
Yes, you can. Yeah. The beauty of this being a digital product, unlike a Valve analog product, is that you don't have to worry about loading an amplifier and damaging it. The output on the back of the heads and the combos as well are 4 ohm minimum load, but you can put any load you like in there as long as it's 4 ohm minimum.
Yeah. That's another good point. The fact that it's not Valve means that if you're of more mature years, shall we say, or you have a lot of stairs to get to your gig, these are a lot lighter than their Valve equivalents. So if you're in a covers band or a function band, you're out playing regularly, these really are a godsend because they'll save your knees. Does the tuner mute the signal?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. So you can tune up in a live situation without getting all that flack for it. About jam tracks, do they sound through the amp or just in the PC? They are designed to work on your PC. We do have lots and lots of options available to us with, again, because it's a digital product, we can do a lot of things. You can have options for routing audio, for example, through your cabinet. So there is a line in on the back. You can actually mix a line in, any standard analog line in via iPod or audio source or straight from your PC, and that will get mixed in and come out of your cabinet and your emulated output if you so wish. Lots and lots of different things.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions, guys? I see, it was such a comprehensive presentation. No one has any questions.
Again, there's a lot more that we haven't touched on. Hopefully the user manuals and all the instructional videos we'll be using, that'll help you answer a lot of questions when you get your hands on it.
Mm-hmm. Alistair again, thanks Alistair for asking questions. Is there a digital output?
Yes, USB. Yeah, USB is it's a stereo emulated output which can pass stereo audio.
For charity, James, we're going to tie Dan down later and we're going to shear him for charity and sell the hair to wig makers.
What you don't understand, James, is this is the same beard from Nam that you saw. It takes a long time. I just got more hair on. It grows here, not there.
Stop right there.
And there.
All donations gratefully required, thank you. Yeah. We'll start with a nickel.
That'll go into my beer fund, thank you.
I think there's still a little bit of special sauce, isn't there, from that Italian?
Much Smavo, I believe, yes. Any more for any more?
He will do anything for a pie, that's absolutely true.
That's a big pizza.
And your email presets.
Good question.
You can actually. The idea, the online community would be the place actually to share these. The easiest way is directly through your Insider software. Just you create a free account online and you just right-click directly from your library and upload it to the online community, and then your friend just downloads it. That's the best way to share them actually. and definitely the quickest.
Keep them private?
If you don't want to upload your patches and share them, you don't have to.
So you found that tone.
If you,
don't
yes,
want to share it.
absolutely. if you've found the secret
That's
to
not
all
the
music,
spirit.
and you've got the best tone in the world, then you don't have to upload any of this to the online community. Of course, everything stays on your local PC or Mac until you wish to upload it. And actually, after you've uploaded it, if you think no, everybody really likes that, it's a bit too good, you can choose to take it down again if you really want to be so mean. Yeah.
But obviously, we want to encourage people to use the
We
community
do.
as much as possible. The more people and the more active that is, the more exciting it becomes, and the more... I mean, one cool thing we've been talking about is if, for instance, you have a guitar teacher and he's using an ID model to teach his pupils, and they will buy an ID as well, and he can say, here's a backing track I want you to practice, and you can go online, search for this patch, so they all go at home, or even remotely, they can download that patch and they'll have exactly the sound that they heard when they were with their guitar teacher. So that, if we start thinking creatively about this and growing the community, there's a lot of other tie-ins and things that we can start doing with that, which is really exciting. All the marketing material will be available on the Blackstar Media site. What we'll be doing is sending out an email summarising all the stuff that's available as soon as it's on the site, so you can just go on and download it at that point. Let's talk more music, absolutely.
I'm sure Cliff will indulge in a few moments.
Yeah, we'll let Cliff loose.
We'll play to fade.
Yeah, I was going to say play to fame. I said no. What speaker models are in the combos? They're all Blackstar Blackbird speakers. Primarily 12 inches, 15's got a 10 inch, 30 has got a 12 inch, and 12 inches all the way up from there.
Rated at 80 watts with a 2-inch voice coil.
There you go, folks. You heard it first.
Are they the same speaker as the HD5? No.
They're a higher power.
They're a higher power version, so they're the same in that they're part of the Blackstar family of speakers, but they're not exactly the same as in the HD5. So these are all bespoke, voiced for these products.
When will the marketing material be available?
Yeah, I did that. Yeah.
Play a bit then.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll let Cliff play out. We'll keep monitoring, so if there are any questions while he's doing that, we'll
stick around.
Return for a final hurrah. Obviously, thanks very much for everyone who's dialed in. I know for some of you, the time zone is challenging, so either good evening, good night, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. We do appreciate you dialing in. And as you know, working with Blackstar, we really believe in a partnership approach, which is why we're taking the time to do this kind of thing for you, and hopefully you find it beneficial. If there's anything you'd like to see done differently, probably less talking, more playing, then please let us know. And with that, Cliff will play you out. And as I say, if you've got any more questions, we'll be hanging around and we will be happy to answer those at the end of that. What was that, Cliff? What was that?
Oh, that was Super Crunch.
Super Crunch.
6v6.
6v6.
With a plate reverb,
Plate reverb.
a
Analog
analog delay,
delay.
and a bit of chorus.
And a little bit of chorus.
It's worth saying as well, the other cool thing, as well as the acoustic power, is that because these respond like a valve amp, like when Cliff backs off, plays softly, or backs the volume off on the guitar, they clean up really naturally, just like any other Blackstar valve amp.
Reflex V6. request for a clean 6v6 sound. I can see what people want there.
Bit of tremolo.
Some tremolo on that. Now we can beat the Fenders and probably the Voxes as well. No, probably about it, my friend.
So that's I've wound up the gain on the channel. So we've got clean, bright, and 6v6. Bit of reverb.
That's just a clean sound pushing the preamp, like you just would with an Artisan or similar. Any more requests that you since we're here? who wants a boutique 84 Agadoo-esque tone? Let us know, we'll do it for you. What an only chance. Let's make Cliff play Agadoo or some funk maybe, some disco.
EL84 we've got.
EL84.
EL84, here we go. Presumably some drive clean sound on the 84.
Is that clean bright?
So clean, bright, EL84s, pushed. Sounds more treble presence and less body than I remember from now.
We are, of course, streaming this. Yeah, it's very big from this end. I can assure you that. We could probably roll off a bit of treble if you're hearing it a bit trebly.
But PC speakers won't be doing us any favours,
no,
obviously.
You feel it to believe it, really.
That's what she said.
Indeed.
Okay, what should we have? Maybe some of this nice modulation. Tremolo, it introduces some pitch modulation as well, so you get a really cool sound. It's real vibrato tremolo.
Vibremolo.
A vibremolo, yeah.
Yes.
Let's find that delay, shall we? Well, we have. It's worth noting on the delays we've got a tape delay. It's position 3, which has the nice natural decay and roll off like a true tape delay as well. So we'll have some of that. Keep
Cliff
strumming.
edge.
Just keep strumming. Hank Marvin.
I'm a bit hungry, actually, yeah.
I think we had a nice clean 84, 6v6 sound for that earlier on. Can we have a mid-70s Brit crunch? That's exactly what Cliff likes to do.
Yes.
Let's give that.
Don't have to ask him twice.
No effects, straight dry. This is going to be a crunch sound, presumably with an 84.
Yes, James, the Ustream will have been recorded completely, so you can dial in, watch it as many times as you like, or insist upon for your guys.
Lauren, that was an EL84 with a crunch channel. And
34?
this is a 34 now, if you want. Notice that got bigger and woodier.
I know
just
I'm
for you,
feeling
Joe.
woodier right now.
Cliff,
Metal.
can you play Eruption?
No.
No. Go.
Can make this,
We can certainly get the saturated brown sound if you want. Messer or Fender twin-like settings with 6L6. Yeah, the 6L6 gives you a nice high bottom end, high top end. If we can do like a boogie-esque 6L6 kind of scooped. Yeah, let's do that.
And then a Fender clean.
So like an OD1, for example, 6L6, maybe more American ISF. Requests gig for Cliff here, so Fender twin-like settings with 6L6. So I don't know, same settings, just a clean sound. I mean that. Give that a go.
Yeah.
Just leave the settings as they are and just a clean sound.
Drop D with KT88s, Cliff.
Okay,
That's why they asked.
drop D, modern metal with KT88, please. Yeah, OD2, nice big mid-rich boost.
You have to pay extra for the premium channel to see Cliff's hardtail.
And you don't get a Cliff with your units, I'm afraid. You have to demo it yourself. Metal indeed. That's a pretty good range of sounds, actually. So
That was. I mean, that gives you a quick idea of how quick it is to dial in some really different sounds. I mean, there's 12 presets available from the front panel, which is dead easy to quickly show a wide range of different sounds for people. But like I say, if you want to do like Cliff's doing, stick it in manual mode, play away. Anyone who's used any normal guitar amp will feel straight at home with this. Don't need a manual, just dive straight in. Cab up for this.
It's a backing band.
Is there any delay on that?
We do country.
No, we don't.
Quick, pass me some spoons.
I'm not spooning with you. Okay, before it gets any more silly then, are there any more questions?
Horbs up.
Horbs up, I believe.
Horns.
Horns, perhaps.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, we'll perhaps draw it to a close because we're running out of oxygen in our little room and it's getting pretty silly. So, thanks again for dialing in. Really appreciate it and your continued support for Black Star and our new ID series. In all the speaker cabs, it will be the Black Star Blackbird speakers, which again, it's a new Blackbird, especially for the 4x12s, which we'll be using in there. Going once, going twice.
Gone.
Really going this time. Thank you and
Thanks, everyone.
goodbye.